Alright everybody, and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Lemax A-Maze-Ing Pumnpkin Patch. Let's get into it. Okay, so the A-Maze-Ing Pumnpkin Patch, it was released in 2024, and the SKU number off the top is 45219. Now for some dimensions, we have 8.19 inches high, 10.24 inches wide, and 8.46 inches in depth. Product type, sights and sounds, and it is made of resin. I do want to note though, however, some of these pieces or additions to this house do feel more like ceramic porcelain or something like that, but for the most part, resin. Now let's talk power. We have your standard 4.5 volt DC adapter that is included, and it draws about 300 milliamps, which was kind of a surprise because the house doesn't appear when you're just looking at it out of the box like it would have anything too major going on, but it does have quite a few surprises. So once we get the deep dive side of it, you'll understand why the draw is as high as it is for the size of this house. As for your plug, it is located in the back of the unit, and it does have your standard power volume roll switch. As for your soundtrack, yes, it does, and the speaker uniquely here is located right on the back of the unit and is crystal clear because of it. A lot of times on houses, they're inside and they're not that clear. This one is an exception to that rule, and I love that they did that, and I'd like to see this in more houses along the way. Now let's talk price. $114.99. Up to you. I don't know. I would have probably liked to seen it somewhere around the 89 to 100, but it does have a lot of animation, or a decent amount of animation on it. So I don't know. It's kind of up to you. Anyways, as far as the weight, it is roughly, and this is an estimate, again, because of my scale, and it's actually kind of broken right now, but it's a lot heavier than it looks. I was truly surprised when I picked this thing up how heavy it was. So I'm going to estimate it. This is, again, just picking it up with my hands, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 4 pounds. Now, lastly, before we get into this, you need to attach the pumpkins. They come inside their own little compartment in the box, and they do feel like kind of porcelain or something, but the detail on these particular are just next level. I mean, what a great job on that. Easy to attach, just plug them in the back, just like we do on a lot of other houses, and they will spin. Okay, so that about wraps up all of the facts. Now it's time we take a closer look. Okay, so starting from the top, I want to point out the roof here. The shingles on the roof are very beautifully detailed and are totally a highlight to the building, and it's something that you're going to see because it's not that tall of a house. So it's really important on this particular one here that the roof is a good quality roof because it's going to be so obvious when you're looking at this. It's really a barn, but nonetheless, it's great. It looks like there's like missing shingles too, and just like little vents and stuff. It's just a beautifully well done roof. Next up is the sign itself, and this is why I said it the way I said it earlier. If you look at the dashes between it, it's A-Maze-Ing Pumnpkin Patch, right? The maze part being the actual maze. That's what this is, a barn with a maze out front. And I'm a huge supporter of pumpkin patches, so hello, right up my alley. Anyways, beautiful sign. Next up is this giant pumpkin that seems to be wrapping itself around the barn. And the head does light up, so hopefully when you turn out the light, you'll be able to see it a little bit more. In regular light, you can't really tell. I had to kind of put my hand over it to see it. But I think at night, it will look great. I think the deal is just that it's like painted over, so the light can only come through within reason. But the character itself, it's pretty well detailed. It's enough to kind of get the message across. It's somewhere between like a giant scarecrow and a pumpkin vine man or something like that. The hands are nicely done though, and it does have like these vine leaf things around the neck. So it's kind of cool, and it's scaled to a point where it just, I don't know, it's a nice little spooky addition, if you will. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the barn. So the barn also has a lot of detail going on. They've really been into that like micro fine detail this year. I think the red trim on the building really worked in this case, especially because the brown is different than the red, obviously, but it kind of almost blends in if they had gone in any darker on the red. So I think they picked a nice contrast. Still kind of makes it look old, but it works. There is a scarecrow where kind of like the chicken roost part would normally be. Kind of looks like he broke out with his axe, decently detailed. Got some of those like red eyes. They don't light up, but there is a light above him. I do wish that since the opening is so wide in the window there, that there would have been at least some kind of background going on when you look inside, and maybe even lit up would have been nice. But it's not. It's only lit from the front, and you have the little scarecrow character there. He doesn't move. There's no animation or anything like that. He's just kind of peeking through, I guess. All right, there's also a barn door and some green trim around that as well. And some of the boards are, kind of a little old and decrepit, some patchwork, that kind of stuff. But all in all, I mean, it's a barn, right? So now let's move on to the showpiece itself. So here we go. The maze. I absolutely love mazes. This one here is made out of like barrels of hay with lots of pumpkins. It's a family-friendly kind of thing, but it's still just, it was a great idea. The two pumpkins at the entrance of it do light up, and they're nice and tall, big enough to kind of fit the piece, but not oversized either. There's like a kid with its mom, I believe it is, kind of just entering the maze, taking a quick look around at the pumpkins there. There's some skulls. And then also there is some animation as you go through the maze, right? So you will notice there's a couple characters that do like this pop scare effect. Pretty cool. I think if this maze was life-size and you're going through it and a giant scarecrow or pumpkin man popped out, yeah, it would be kind of freaky, a nice little jump scare, if you will. But there is a decent amount of detail in the different characters, two of them that move, one that is just kind of stagnant there in front of the barn itself. But the pumpkins are real nice, and there is some other like kids running around. Just overall, pretty well thought out. Kind of I don't know if this isn't going to be like the showpiece of the year. It's going to be somewhere kind of like a side filler or, something like that. Or if you're into the corn maze thing, something along those lines. But the animation is cool. The lighting is pretty much white. There's not really any color lights going on in this piece. I think that would have been great to see. I noticed, in the Halloween stuff, they're kind of favoring a lot of the white lights this year. In the past couple as well, but I would like to see more of the color, especially for the Halloween. It would have been nice to see some green or purple on this. It really would help bring the spookiness to light. There's a little leeway there because it is kind of a family-friendly maze, so it would be reasonably lit up in real life. But nonetheless, there's also, I want to bring your attention to the very, very front. There is a bunch of what appears to be like cornstalk with bat eyes that are kind of pulsing in between and alternating, and kind of gives a little bit of a creepy feel, as you're first coming up to the grand entrance of this thing. Other than that, guys, there's not too much going on here. There's a sign, there's some brickwork, just a little bit there in the back. I guess the overall is kind of what you're paying for here. The animation is cool, but really this is one of those pieces that you're going to buy because it kind of fits your theme, or you're cool with just kind of overall. This is something you kind of have to really like it all the way around to justify what you're going to pay for it. I'm a huge fan, as I've said, of the pumpkin patches and themes and stuff like that, so for me this was a no-brainer. But yeah, nonetheless, it's Halloween, it screams Halloween, it's got the barn, the big character. It's not huge, which is why I was surprised why it was so heavy. But they did what they could with the space. I think the hay was a beautiful idea as far as making the maze out of, because it's pretty realistic on how you would do it in real life. Oh, one other thing as we wrap up here, the soundtrack, like I said earlier, is crystal clear. But it's actually kind of a fun soundtrack. I like the voices and kind of what they're talking about, which you'll hear here in a moment. I don't want to blow up for you. But it's cute, and it fits the theme of what we're working with, that family-friendly outing at the pumpkin patch, the maze, and the play on words with the name, right? So everything all together, it was a pretty cool choice. That's it, the A-Maze-Ing Pumnpkin Patch. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the lights. I thank you as always for your time and continuing to support my channel. If this is for you, go out and get yourself one. I'll be displaying it this year in my village. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.
The maze. Now for your prize. Step into the amazing pumpkin patch. The ninth wonder of, well, someplace. Hey there! No! Really, there's hay there! Watch out!
Can you see what's out there? Hey, just a bunch of people wandering around. Look what that one's wearing. It's so last season.
Such curious little pumpkins. Congratulations. You've solved the maze.